Good morning, grade 6 students. It's me again, your teacher online. How are you doing? I hope everything is fine and perfect with you, because with me, everything is awesome. Before we begin our lesson, I'd like to remind everyone that you need to have with you your reader's and writer's notebook, your English notebook to take down notes, as well as your pen. Thank you. For our lesson today, we have personal narrative. Our objectives are the following. Explain what personal narrative is. Explain the steps and purpose of narrative writing. Identify and explain elements of a personal narrative. Discuss characteristics of personal narratives. And identify topics to create personal narrative. Let's begin. What is a personal narrative? Personal narrative means it's a narrative, it's a story. It is a series of events told through narration. This means that a personal narrative is a story about something important in the life of the writer. It should not be like an autobiography, which is a life story. It should be about a moment or event in your life, a quick snapshot. Let's try to go to the elements of a personal narrative. Narrative, there are 5 elements. 1, we have character. That's you. Setting, where does your story take place? 3, conflict. What are you struggling to do in your story? 4, the plot, what events happen? And of course, the most important thing in our narrative elements is the theme. What is the lesson, the purpose, the point or message of the story you want to tell your audience or reader? Or should I say, your reader. Let's start with setting. How does the author create a mood with setting? How does the setting enrich the overall story? That's your setting. So setting is referring to the place where the story happened. That's setting. It can also mean the time, okay? The day, maybe the season. That's your setting. The next one is character, which is, of course, you. How does the author teach us about who the main characters are? It can refer to a personality or your personality, your habits, your beliefs, physical appearance, desires, history, and others. Look at the example there, which I mentioned. Mulan seems slightly more confused, awkward, and disorganized than other girls in town, if you happen to watch Mulan. Other things that we need to know about characters, they are the main people or other living things that are involved in your story. Your goal as a writer is show who you are or your characters are through your behaviors. Show what motivates your characters. And lastly, make your characters realistic. We'll now go to the next one, which is conflict. Conflict may refer to the struggle motivates the characters to act. A good story tends to have more than one conflict. Again, I'm going to use the story of Mulan. There's one conflict there. An army is approaching China and new soldiers are being recruited. One man from every family must go. So Mulan's father has to enlist even though he's already old and injured. Women are not allowed in the army. Next, we have plot, which is the rising action. From the beginning, what events move the story forward and help the characters resolve their conflict. That's a plot. And of course, last, we have the theme. What's the message of your story? What does the author want to tell us about life and human nature? Look at the example here, from Mulan. Mulan's father tells her that the flower that blooms in adversity is the most beautiful of all. Mulan is happy about who she is after going against the societal expectations. What was that? That women are to stay at home, men are on war. She also receives more acceptance from other people after this happens. Now, remember this one, that a personal narrative is always written in POV, meaning to say, personal narratives use first-person point of view. So you're going to use I, me, and we. Okay? Generally, you should not address the reader by saying you or in your narrative. Okay? That point of view is in the first person. Now, there are 8 episodes that I want you to watch closely. Well, the video clips are too short, maybe 2, 3, or 4 minutes. I want you to understand it every single video so that you will be able to understand the basic steps in writing a personal narrative. This is very elementary, very easy to understand, and I'd like you to enjoy it. You can click the link or the icon and watch the video carefully. Okay? I'm going to pause this video, or should I say, you have to pause this video and go through with all the 8 episodes. They are interesting, very clear, very informative, and I'm really hoping that you will enjoy it. At the end of this session, you will be starting how to write your own personal narrative. Okay? Grade 6? I'm back again, grade 6 students. How did you enjoy the small video clips on the 8 episodes I provided with you? I hope you enjoyed it and learned something. Okay? Now, from time to time, if you feel the need to go back again with the video, you can do that. There's no harm in repeating the video. The more you listen, the more you will engross in writing, and the more you will be writing effective personal narrative. Okay, now let's go to this one first. Purpose of writing a narrative. Narration means the art of storytelling, and the purpose of narrative writing is to tell stories. Anytime you tell a story to a friend or a family member about an event or incident in your day, you engage in a form of narration. While any narrative essay you write for this class will be non-fiction, like a true story, a narrative can be factual or fictional. A factual story is one that is based on and tries to be faithful to actual events as they unfolded in real life. A fictional story is made up or imagined, on the other hand. The writer of a fictional story can create characters and events as he or she sees fit. So from this point of discussion, there are 3 things that I'd like to draw your attention. 1, the very purpose of writing a personal narrative, which is to tell a story. Number 2, you can use fiction and non-fictional. So from this slide, fiction and non-fiction were differentiated, okay? Going forward, still on purpose of writing a narrative, the big distinction between factual and fictional narratives is based on a writer's purpose. The writers of factual stories try to recount events as they actually happened. But writers, on the other hand, of fictional stories can depart, can go away from, deviate, or drift from real people and events because the writer's intents are not to retell a real-life event. Biographies and memoirs are examples of factual stories, whereas novels and short stories are examples of fictional stories. By the way, take note of the word memoir there. You can take down note on this particular word. It may be new to you, and the way it should be read, it's memoir, okay? Moving forward on purpose of writing a narrative, this is a tip. Ultimately, whether a story is fact or fiction, narrative writing tries to relay a series of events. What way? Emotionally engaging way. You're always carried by your emotions. You want your audience to be moved by your story, which could mean through laughter, sympathy, fear or anger, and so on and so forth. Maybe all the possible emotions that you can find in the English dictionary. The more clearly you tell your story, the more emotionally engaged your audience is likely to be. I'm going to repeat that one. Whether a story is fact or fiction, narrative writing tries to relay a series of events in an emotionally engaging way. Maybe you want your audience to be moved by your story in various emotions: laughter, sympathy, fear, anger, any emotions to that matter. The more clear you tell your story, the more emotionally engaged your audience is likely to be. Put this one into your mind. There should be a purpose to your story, but you don't have to convince anyone you're right. Always remember this one, because your purpose is to tell a story. That's it. That's a personal narrative lesson on writing today. Before I end my discussion or lesson today, I'd like to give credit to the one where I took the video. These videos and link are not mine. Thank you to the creator and owner. We have teaching without frills. Thank you so much. Before we end our discussion today, I'd like to remind you again that ending this session doesn't necessarily mean that we end and you stop studying already. Please go back to your readers and writers notebook. Read again the pages. Go back to the link which I provided, which are very, very helpful. Understand them carefully, one by one, so that you will be able to understand on how to write a personal narrative. And lastly, try to log into your Pearson account. There are numerous activities and homeworks you can still learn from it. Again, my grade 6 students, thank you so much for staying with me. Have a nice day. Thank you and goodbye.